You are listening to Women's Running Stories, where exceptional women runners share inspirational stories about their running experiences.
Yeah, oh my gosh. It's emotional, super exciting, and it's just so amazing seeing all the fans of track and field. Everyone just there loves the sport and it's just so amazing. And to watch, people achieve their Olympic dreams is also very inspiring. I got to watch a couple of my teammates, make it to the Olympics, and it was just so emotional watching them make their dreams come true. And so I think that was just so inspiring and so exciting for them. And just watching that as well as competing and hearing the crowd, it was just so amazing. Especially on the back home stretch, like you can hear everyone's screams. It's just so different from anything that I've ever, I guess, ran at. So yeah, it was an incredible experience, and I can't wait to do it again. Hi, my name is Angelina Ellis. I currently live in Flagstaff, Arizona, where I train with Mission Run Dark Sky, Under Armour, but I'm originally from Zionsville, Indiana.
Yes, this episode features first-year professional runner Angelina Ellis, who is from Zionsville, Indiana, which is not far from Indianapolis. She is coming off of her first Olympic trials, which just took place at the end of June, and have left her very inspired. And she will most definitely be sharing the details of that in her story. But before we hear more from Angelina, I want to welcome you to Women's Running Stories. I am Cherie Louise Turner. I am the host and producer of this podcast. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Now on to Angelina's running story. Angelina is a professional track racer who specializes in the steeplechase, and she races for the Under Armour Mission Run Dark Sky Distance Team based in Flagstaff, Arizona, which sits right around 7,000 feet, and this provides the benefit of being able to train at altitude. And it has become a go-to home base for a number of top American runners, as well as international athletes. As she mentioned, Angelina is from Zionsville, Indiana, and she went to Zionsville High School. She then went on to earn both her undergraduate and then graduate degrees from Butler University in Indianapolis. For running, Butler is a Division I or D1 school within the National Collegiate Athletic Association or NCAA system, which means it is among the most competitive running schools in the U.S. A few things to know before we get started here. Angelina mentions a number of races. She mentions racing in Boston, and here she's referring to racing at an indoor meet. Boston is home to some excellent indoor tracks, so during the indoor track season, which happens over the winter, there is some really fast racing that happens in Boston. And this is where Angelina debuted as a professional racer. Angelina also talks about racing the LA Grand Prix, which happened in mid-May, and the Portland Track Fest, which happened in early June. And these are two premier outdoor track competitions. She also mentions the NCAAs, and here she's referring to the national championships for athletes in the collegiate system. In addition, she mentions USAs, and this is the national championships for all racers. Also, every 4 years, USAs, the national championships, also serve as the Olympic trials. This is where Olympic team selections happen. For all of these events, athletes have to make qualifying standards, so even being able to show up on the starting line is an accomplishment, especially for big championship events like the NCAAs or USAs, and especially for the Olympic trials. The most stringent qualifying standard of all, however, which many athletes refer to as just the standard, is the Olympic standard, and this is the time that all athletes must have run in order to race at the Olympics. So, for instance, in the U.S., the Olympic team is chosen in a very simple way. The top 3 finishers of each event at the Olympic trials are automatic selections for the team. However, To actually race at the Olympics, athletes have to have also run the Olympic standard. I'll add here that there's also another way to qualify to get into the Olympics, and that has to do with rankings. But that is not pertinent to this story, and it just gets really complicated. Back to Angelina. She also mentions Haas, and this is Stephen Haas. He is both an athlete agent as well as the founder and head coach of the Under Armour Mission Run Dark Sky Distance Professional Team. Now for Angelina, being on a professional running team has been a dream since high school. But back then, that's exactly what she thought professional running would be for her, a dream. Because Angelina's high school racing performances weren't particularly outstanding, and they were marked by some surprising and unpleasant experiences for Angelina. So when she was thinking about her future, Angelina was considering plans that didn't involve elite-level racing at all. And that is where her story begins, with what she was considering for her future back in high school. So let's get to it. Here to tell her story is Angelina Ellis.
Yeah, so I originally wanted to, for the longest time, I just wanted to do international business. I was really interested in traveling, honestly, and I like working with different cultures because I am half Chinese. So that's what I actually kind of wanted to do for a bit because in high school, it wasn't like I was a outstanding runner. I wasn't bad or anything, but I wasn't, getting all state or anything. So I didn't plan on running professionally, honestly. It was just kind of a dream of mine. Now, if someone asked me what my dream job was, it's definitely to become a professional runner one day and try to go to the Olympics. I just honestly really love the sport. Going to practice every day with my teammates and competing and racing, I just really enjoyed racing and just that competitive aspect of it. And I don't know, just something about that runner high. It's just such a fun sport, and just like thinking about doing it as a career is just like so crazy to me to do something that I truly love. I just really didn't want a office job, I guess. So just running would be just the perfect outcome. And so, yeah, in high school, I didn't really think that was going to be an option. So I really just went down like the business route, and that's what I studied in school. I was a very different runner in high school, and so I still took it very seriously and really enjoyed it. But yeah, I was a very fatigued runner, and like I didn't race very well when it came to big meets, and so I didn't really see being a professional runner as a possibility until I became a completely different runner in college. So in high school, a lot of times in races, specifically, I would pass out, or my teammates always looked for me at the end of the races because they knew I'd be all over the place or collapsing. For some reason, I don't know if it was a low iron or a hormonal problem. I'd never had my period during high school, and I think that was a big sign also that something was wrong. And I thought, every doctor tells you, it's because you're a runner, but honestly, I think that's not good advice because I think all runners should still have their period. But yeah, I just wasn't a strong runner at the time. Also, that made me not very confident in racing. And to be honest, it made me hate racing for a really long time because I was scared of passing out because it's a very different type of pain that I didn't enjoy, and specifically in cross country and longer distances. And so I wasn't sure if I was going to do it in college, honestly, because of that. Yeah, I wasn't very, especially cross country season, I didn't enjoy because I don't know if it was like a combination of just like pushing myself, but yeah, in training it was funny because I never really got to that point in training. Not that I recall of in workouts and stuff. I don't know if it's because the races were just a lot harder. Yeah, for some reason when I raced, it was just always a struggle at the end. Yeah, actually, my senior year at state, I passed out like right before the line, and I had to crawl. I woke up and like crawled to the finish line. So just like stuff like that made me really not enjoy specifically cross country, but I still really enjoy training with my teammates and the team aspect of cross country and everything. And then my last track season at Zionsville, I felt like I was getting stronger, and so I felt like I was gonna be okay. And then for some reason, when I got to college, it just stopped. Like I don't know if it was the change of diet and change of sleep schedule and just like balancing everything out. I'm not quite sure, but um, and taking iron regularly. But when I went to Butler, I was running, a lot faster and I was a lot stronger, and I was having a more regular cycle. And I think that just shows that something just became more balanced and clicked. Maybe my diet, maybe my sleep, maybe just all of it all together. But yeah, I was just a completely different runner when I got to Butler. I remember when I first joined Butler, I thought, oh my gosh, I have to do this for another 4 years. Because it was, in high school, I didn't quite enjoy it, but then I became the runner that I was. I just felt stronger. I enjoyed, workouts. I enjoyed racing for the first time, which was kind of new to me because I wasn't passing out. And each year I just kind of slowly progressed. And I really thank my teammates and my coaches because I felt like they all believed in me. And I feel like it was really cool to progress with some of them as well. I just felt like we grew as individuals, and I really loved my team. It was a great group of women, and it was just so fun. They made practice really enjoyable, and because of that, I think I was able to strive and grow as a runner as well. And so, just being able to, PB every season was such a great, I think, just seeing myself get the goals year by year by year, I think was really encouraging and helped get to where I am today. Just making myself believe in myself and being able to think, okay, I can get to X, Y, and Z spot eventually if I just work hard and just be very consistent. And so it wasn't until about grad school. So I ended up doing a fifth and sixth year at Butler because I had eligibility from COVID and redshirt. And so it was about my senior year when I made outdoors NCAAs for the first time, where I really realized that I could do this and make this a career, and I really wanted to strive for that. And so just making a goal each year after my senior year to my fifth year to my sixth year and seeing how much I could progress. And by the time I was done with my sixth year, I realized that I can do this. And so I felt like there wasn't any other decision I wanted to make other than try to run professionally.
By the time she graduated from her graduate program at Butler, earning her MBA, Angelina was in a position to consider going pro. And key to her growth throughout college had been her coach. And that was Butler head coach Matt Rowe. He had clearly seen Angelina's potential when she was in high school, even though she hadn't been a top performer. And back then, when she was coming into her collegiate career, Angelina's high school race results had weighed on her confidence.
I feel like it was, hard coming from not being ever all state and in high school and never being really the top runner in Indiana at the time, and going into college and then getting to a place where I could compete with these top women in the nation. And I felt like it took me a while to realize that I belong. And I felt like he did a good job with trying to tell myself, like, you train like X, Y, and Z person, and you can compete with them, and you deserve to be in that spot. And I think he helped me um, just be, just train really well to the point where I can hopefully, if I'm training like this, I can compete like this. And I felt like he really believed in that, and he believed that I could, place super high in the nation, and I felt, like in the NCAA, and so I felt like that helped me really open my eyes of what type of runner I can be.
Angelina's progression at Butler was incredible, and she capped off her collegiate career with a solid ninth place finish in the steeplechase at the NCAAs. This put her in a position of being a prospect for the pro ranks, but not so much so that teams were clamoring to offer her a professional contract. All to say, her future as a runner was unclear.
Oh, it was so difficult. I mean, it's such a weird route to go down, as a career. I feel like not everyone does it. Not a lot of people do it. Very small percentage of runners out of college do it, and so I feel like there's no clear path on how to do it. And so I was honestly pretty lost after I graduated. I knew I wanted to do that, and I was really determined to find a team or to find something to get because I really wanted to pursue this. But yeah, like I mean, it's not like I won nationals or anything. Like yes, I got ninth at nationals, but I had a better PB than how I placed at nationals, but that was also the issue. So I actually got very sick after conference where I had to go to the hospital because of dehydration. And so that kind of gave me like a setback where I just could not PB after April. Or May, I just could not. And so I was just exhausted, I think, from being sick. And so going into nationals and USAs, I wasn't as strong as where I wanted to be. But I did get ninth still, which I'm still very happy with. And that was very difficult to find teams because I feel like teams are looking for, people who are placing in the top 8 or, top 3, top 5. And so it was pretty difficult. But luckily enough, I contacted Haas and he gave me a chance and we talked and he did look he's an agent as well, so he looked at other teams too, but I did say like, hey, I looked at their team and I saw that there were two other steeplers and I was like, I would honestly be really happy if I could join your team too. And he gave me a chance and I couldn't be more happy and blessed, and that he gave me that chance, and Under Armour as well, to give someone like me from Indiana a chance to go to Flagstaff. So I was very happy, and I really enjoy it there, and I'm very happy that it worked out the way it did.
Angelina had secured her place on a professional team comprised of top athletes from around the world, including American half marathon record holder and Paris-bound U.S. runner Wayne Kaladi, Paris-bound 1,500-meter runner for Kenya, Susan Ajore, 2020 Olympian for Great Britain, Katie Snowden, elite runner Alicia Kreidbring, and 2022 New York City Marathon champ Susan Lokedi, who is headed to Paris as well, racing the marathon for Kenya. Also on the team are fellow steeplechasers Regan Yee, who will be racing in the Olympics for Canada, and Adva Cohen, who was a member of the 2020 Israeli Olympic team. This is an illustrious crew. And not only did joining this team mean that Angelina had top athletes to train with, she lived with them too. Upon relocating to Flagstaff, Angelina moved in with new housemates Ajore, Ajore's husband, and elite runner Rebecca Bassett. Angelina's dream of living the pro life had become a reality. But to maintain this, she knew she needed to perform.
I was kind of giving myself an ultimatum, if I don't perform this year, I'm probably going to have to get a job, And so with running this high level, it is pretty difficult to, I feel like, work and run. Some people do it and, good for them. That's really tough. And so I just really wanted to try this running thing. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna move to Flagstaff. I have some savings. Just moving. I never met my teammates before. I was also a little nervous for that. They all seemed like great, women, but I didn't know anyone. So moving out there, I just, clicking with my team and really liking them and liking my coach. I just felt wow, I got really lucky.
As great as it all came to be, this was a huge transition. And being away from home, switching coaches, and running with a whole new team of people she'd never met were not the only changes Angelina faced with this move to Flagstaff.
Well, I've never done altitude training before. So when I first moved out there, I was really nervous for that too because I knew it's going to be really tough. And then on top of that, I'm training with these Olympians. I was very ecstatic to be training with these women. To be training with these high level, world class runners is just such a dream of mine. And so at first going to these practices, I was pretty nervous because I knew the workouts were going to be pretty tough. But Haas did a really good job, I feel like, transitioning me from one, going from sea level to altitude, but also going from collegiate running to pro running because it is a very different season. We don't have, cross country, and our season's a lot longer. We go a bit longer into the summer. And so I feel like he did a really good job of mixing, VO2 work with threshold and tempos, and but also going back to those threshold work. And I think he just did a good job with making sure we didn't burnt out by the end of the season in the summer. And so, yeah, the workouts are a little different from my college. I feel like my college coach did a really good job with workouts as well, but I just feel like these workouts are just a little bit different especially because of altitude. You can't go as hard in certain aspects because we're 7,000 feet up, but we are doing a lot of more, I would say, mileage too. I would say our workouts are a bit longer. We've done some workouts where we've done lactate testing with like blood, where they take like your blood. That was kind of new to me. I've never done that before. So I thought that was really cool. It was really funny because the first time, like the first 2 weeks I was there, we did that. And my teammates were at like, I think like 3 point something, 4 point something, which you don't want to go over like 4 point, I think high fours or something like that. And I was at 10. And so I think that just shows what altitude, when you first like go to altitude, what it takes. You need to adapt. It takes about like I think 6 weeks to adapt, so you really need to give yourself some time. So it was very intimidating, I guess, but they were all very nice. And Regan and Adva, they're both steeplers on my team, and we've been able to do a lot of steeple workouts together, and they're great. And I love working out with them. And some other people on my team are just amazing, like Susan and Katie and Alicia, and just like everyone. Wayne's also, Sharon. I can name all of them. They're just so incredible women and so hardworking, and they're just so positive as well, which is really nice to see. And they're all so fun as well. So I think just all of that is just all together. It just helped me grow as a runner too, because we're having fun as well as staying positive and just enjoying working out together. It was so special to put on that, Under Armour racing kit for the first time. It was just so special to me as my debut. They say feel good, look good. Or no, wait, sorry, they say look good, feel good, or something like that. I really stand by that because, just putting on that racing kit, I feel like I look good, I feel good, I'm gonna race well. You know what I mean? It's all about perspective, and I just feel like just feeling, confident in yourself and having that professional kit, and you're like, okay, I am a pro. I deserve to be on this line, and I can compete well, and I could hopefully win this race, or just compete, against these great women. But my college coach did tell me, he was like, before I went to professional running, he was just like, your first year, if you don't PB, it's okay, because, it could take a year to adjust to the training and adjust to altitude. And so I kept telling myself, if I don't PB, it's okay. But I felt like my training had been going pretty well. And so after doing a couple months of, training under Haas and in altitude, when I went to Boston and I ran 4:30 in the mile, that was a 7-second PB for me at the time. And I just watching, and I felt so strong and so smooth, and I just like know I was ready for something, big this year, for the steeplechase at least. And so just seeing that and just really assured me that my training, this is working and I am meant to be here. And then at LA Grand Prix, this was a bit down the road, but this is when I ran the 3K steeplechase. I ran 9:25, and I really felt like, wow, okay. Because when I first started this season, I told myself if my goal was to run closer to 9:30, but if I were to run sub 9:30, I'd be over the moon. And so when I ran 9:25, I was actually a little bit upset because I was so close to the standard of 9:23. But I told myself I can't be upset because, that was, you know, way over my goal too. So running that has really helped me realize, like, okay, I'm a different runner than I am a year ago. Like, I can be this professional runner that I've always wanted to be. And yeah, it just helped me. I'm just slowly feeling more and more sense of belonging in each race. Definitely was a little bit intimidated when I first started. Slowly, honestly, still getting in the mindset of like I am one of those runners, just because like I'm going against these people that in college they did beat me, in races, or these are the runners that I looked up to. So especially in steeplechase, where I'm very familiar with the women in my races and stuff. So I think it took me a bit to feel like I can compete with them and I can race with them. So I think that took a little bit, but I feel like this season has honestly, especially at Portland Track Fest, I think this was an event that I don't normally do, the 1500, but I told myself to just go out there and have fun and not look at who's in my race and to just go out. And I ended up winning that race. And I think I did a good job of ignoring the factors of that person or X, Y, and Z person could be better than me. I think I just did a good job of just racing and having fun with it. So I think that honestly is just another big step of mine that I'm learning to just have fun in races and just forget about I'm racing with this person or this person. I think I just need to focus on competing against these people because at the end of the day, anything can happen.
Racing is unpredictable and anything can happen. And Angelina was ready to capitalize on the opportunities that presented themselves. She'd been gaining confidence racing in the pro ranks, and heading into the Olympic trials, Angelina was deliberate about not counting herself out, regardless of the fact that she didn't have much experience racing at such a high-pressure event. The closest she'd come was racing the USA's the year before in 2023. Regardless, she had big goals. Top among them was to make it to the finals and then give it everything she had. For steeplechasers at the Olympic trials, to get a guaranteed spot in the finals, you need to place top 5 in the prelims. And the goal with prelims is to get one of those top 5 spots without racing too hard, so you have something left for the finals. Now, while Angelina was new to this intense championship racing, she was not navigating it all alone. She had the support of her teammates and of her coach, who she consulted with before the prelims.
He did tell me before going into the race that my goal, this race is going to be fast no matter what. The steeplechase is always fast for the women. It's just always, it's not tactical ever. So I knew it was going to go out hot. And so he said the goal here is just to stay attached as long as you can and then see what happens. And so going into the prelim, I was pretty nervous because I've never made finals before. USA's was actually my first time. Last year, I ran at USA's, and that was my first time competing at, this type of meet. And so some of those women I have only raced like once or twice, but I know who they are, and they have big names, and they're incredible runners. And Yeah, so I was just very intimidated. But I tried to just tell myself again, like, I am a different runner, than I was last year. I deserve to be in the finals and compete for a spot to the Olympics just like anyone else. And so, yeah, so starting off the prelim race, I was feeling pretty good until the second lap. I took a tumble, and it honestly happened so fast. I know I watched the video a bit, and I know I did clear the barrier, and I think what happened was that my trail leg got clipped by someone. It's just when you're running in that big a group of people, it's easy to bump into each other, and I think someone might have accidentally clipped my back of my trail leg, and then I just kind of like went down, and then I think I tried to like stable myself, but my ankles rolled, and then I rolled down, and then I kind of like Superman dived down onto the floor. Yeah, it just happened so quickly. So yeah, I just tried to bounce back up and just not think about it. But, my coach is really funny because my coach before that race, he doesn't normally tell me this before a race, but he was like, "Hey, like I told your teammates Matt and Isaac this before the race too, but if you fall, just get up and just focus on racing. Just get up." And he's like, "It's not that I think you're going to fall, but if you do, it's okay." And it was just funny because then I actually fell. And I've never fallen in a steeplechase before, so but I just thought get up and it's okay because it was so early on in the race that I was like, I can make up for it. I can make up for it. So I think I did a good job of just focusing on racing. I saw that the group, the top four, like separated, and so I thought just catch up because when I was trying to catch up to the next group, I was honestly feeling not super great. Just felt really tired just trying to catch up, I think. And so once I finally did catch up to them, I knew that the next spot was gonna be fifth between us few ladies, and so I just thought to stay with them as long as I could, and then if I can try to get fifth because you just never know what could happen. And so I just thought just stay as long as I could with this group, and then I can outkick if hopefully I think I can, and so I just stuck with it, and then I was honestly dying. That last lap, I was very tired, but once I got to the last 100, I was like, okay, I am not gonna. At this point, I can't lose. Like I was just like, I have to do it because I felt like I had stuck my nose in it for this whole race, and so I just thought that okay, I can do this, and yeah, it was tough. Who I was running against were great runners, and so it was a hard last 100. I think there's pictures of me like on the ground after that which you never want to do after a prelim. You want it to be smooth and hopefully not as hard as the final. But yeah, that felt kind of all out for me. I was very happy that and grateful that I was able to make finals. I actually rolled my ankle in that prelim because of the fall. I didn't feel it in the race quite. I felt a little bit in the water jump, but not too much. I think just with the adrenaline and everything. I even cooled down and everything, but the next day I couldn't even run. My ankle was like so swollen. I did sprain it a bit, but I saw a doctor and everything, and he gave me some pain meds, and I saw my PT, and he helped me work through it a lot. And thankfully, I was able to be on the line again during finals, and I was just felt so blessed to be and happy to be on the line because honestly, the day after my prelim, I was having thoughts of I don't know if I'm gonna be able to run this final because of how swollen my ankle was. But yeah, thankfully, by the time I got to the start line of the final, it was okay. And with the adrenaline kicking in, yeah, I felt honestly pretty strong. And I did run like 3 seconds for my PB. I think the only issue with that race, if I had to critique it, would be that when I got to like the water pit of the third lap, my ankle did give out a little bit. And so then I lost contact with that group. And that is just, when they're going that pace, and that is an incredible field, you cannot have a bad water jump. You can't afford it. Otherwise, you won't be able to close that gap, or it's going to take a lot of work too. So I think that was my my issue. But I think what I should have done a little bit better was competing with that group instead of focusing on time or anything. I tried not to look at the clock, but when you see how fast they're running, it was hard to not think about. And so I think just next year going in, I think I should just focus on really just, you're not competing for a spot to the Olympics, but just compete in racing, you know what I mean? Just to focus on getting a higher placement in general. But I think also having another year of altitude training and getting fitter, I think that will help too. Hopefully next year I can come back, fitter and stronger and hopefully be able to compete again with those women. But yeah, that is an incredible field, and they're taking 3 amazing women to the Olympics.
The U.S. is sending 3 amazing women to the Olympics in the steeplechase: Val Constein, Courtney Wayment, and Marissa Howard. And Angelina was in the thick of the action that determined that team, making a name for herself as a runner to watch.
I'm just so thankful that Under Armour and Haas and my coaches back in Flagstaff gave me this chance, and it has been a dream come true, honestly, and to see my progression this year has really made me super excited and happy for the future, and I can't wait to see what's next.
I also can't wait to see what comes next for Angelina Ellis. What an outstanding season she has had this year, capping it off, for the moment, there's still more racing to come, by making it into the Olympic trials finals after that fall. And then, even after the fall, having rolled her ankle and having raced way harder than she had wanted to in the prelims, she ran a personal best in the finals and came in 11th. I mean, incredible. And I want to thank Angelina so much for coming on the podcast and telling this story. Thank you, Angelina. I wish you a great rest of this season and beyond. And that does bring us to the end of Angelina's story on the podcast. But of course, there is more to come, and you can join me in following Angelina on social media. I will have a link to her Instagram feed in the show notes. I'll also link to the Instagram feed of her team, Under Armour Mission Run Dark Sky Distance. And that is going to do it for me. Thank you so much for being here. I always appreciate you listening, and I would love it if you would share this podcast with someone else who you know would enjoy these stories too. I am Cherie Louise Turner. I am the host and producer of Women's Running Stories. And until next Tuesday, I do wish you healthy, joyful strides forward. Women's Running. Women's Running Stories.
My name is Cindy Burnett, and each week I interview at least 2 traditionally published authors on my podcast, Thoughts from a Page. We talk spoiler-free about their books, so you can listen whether you have read the book or not. And then we delve into things that you most likely won't hear about anywhere else. The importance of the cover design, why they included various aspects of the story, personal details about both the books and the authors' lives, and so much more. You can find the podcast on every major platform and learn more about it on my website, thoughtsfromapage.com. Thanks so much for checking it out.